Hello everybody, NGS here and welcome back to Magia Record episode 6, in which what? Kinda hard to tell. Kinda hard to tell, not gonna lie, because Magia Record remains fairly episodic still, and perhaps most of all because it's simply unpredictable. It's simply unpredictable. I mean, in the last episode, in episode 5, we had two magical girls turn into witches and then unturn from witches. If that can happen, anything can. Honestly, at this point, I expect nothing and I expect everything from from this show. But yeah, what happened in the previous episode? In the previous episode, we were in the world of the meeting witch, I guess I'm gonna call her, because it's a witch that facilitates meetings with a person you really want to meet with, right? So we were there. Yachiyo met Mifuyu, and Iroha met Ui. Mifuyu was a very convincing construct of the witch and almost had Yachiyo convinced to trust her and to stay here with her. Thankfully, Yachiyo isn't as easy to manipulate, and she probably also knows something about Mifuyu's disappearance, death. We still aren't sure if she's dead or not. That we don't. So she was certain that Mifuyu cannot be back, so it wasn't. So this isn't the real Mifuyu. But her heart was shaken, of course. Iroha had certainly a much easier time discerning that the imaginary Ui wasn't actually Ui, because she was only talking Kamihama City, magical girls, save, save, magical girls, Kamihama City, come to Kamihama, magical girls, destiny. And that was essentially it, speaking like a broken record, essentially. You guys noticed correctly in the comments, someone commented that perhaps it's because Ui was removed from the reality, so even witches have a hard time accessing the memories of Ui. Even Iroha herself doesn't really have any memories of her. So if we assume that the constructs are created based on the memories of whoever requested the meeting, then Iroha doesn't have many of them. She did have that vision of Ui talking about Kamihama City, come here, save, change destiny of magical girls, yada yada yada. The pitch for Kamihama City, essentially. So either that memory was unlocked by the false Ui, either that memory was within her and the witch was able to pull it out and create that construct, which seems to be the most plausible, or Iroha's witchification gave her a part of her memories back or something thereabouts, which again makes me believe that the witch of Kamihama has something to do with Ui. We're not entirely sure of that, of course, but I have my suspicions. An interesting theory that I had, that I thought of as possible, was that Ui perhaps made a wish, something like, I want to meet with Iroha, and it was twisted to the point where Ui became a witch that draws all magical girls in and all witches in on the off chance that one of them is Iroha. But we've never seen a wish being twisted to that degree. We've never actually seen a wish being twisted, just unforeseen consequences of that wish. So again, still unsure. Then everybody, that is Yachiyo, Iroha, and Tsuruno, had to fight that witch, which turned out to be very, very strong. And Iroha had her gem darkened because of the vision of Ui, most of all, and she turned into a witch, but not really. She didn't so much turn into a witch as a witch got attached to her like an exoskeleton. Kinda looked like she was piloting a Gundam, for the lack of a better word. So there has to be something with that, if that it wasn't a full witchification. Not to mention she defeated the witch, right? And witches, I'm not sure, do witches fight in Madoka Magica? I'm honestly not entirely sure if there is a precedent for that. Besides, of course, Rebellion and Mami's, what was she called? That plushy-looking witch was helping them. Discounting that because everything there was taking place in an imaginary world anyway. So, but yeah, Iroha's witch. Iroha as a witch, Iroha using the power of a witch, whichever fits the best, fought the meeting witch and won, of course, tore it to shreds, just straight up rip and tear until it is done, and they were freed, met Mami, of all people, she was sent there by Kyuubey to investigate. Mami killed the witch, and the witch dropped Iroha, who was perfectly fine, and even her gem was reset. So, something very, very fucky wacky is going on here. And yeah, Kamihama essentially does not obey the rules of the world of Madoka Magica. It's like a bubble where all of the rules have no meaning because someone created new ones. And it really makes me believe that perhaps Ui became the kind of existence that Homura and Madoka did, except on a smaller scale. She's unable to affect all of the multiverse, but rather she's able to affect just this bubble of Kamihama City. And of course, the after credits scene. Iroha fainted, she was taken home by Yachiyo. Turns out Yachiyo was living together with Mifuyu and some other magical girl who was playing a guitar. So yeah. And then the after credits scene happened. Where we have seen, who was it? It was Rena, Tsukuyo, and Kaede fighting some witch. I think it was them. I believe there was also one. It was the coordinator, whose name eludes me, but it was the coordinator who was also there. Kaede also turned into a witch. Also not entirely. And she unwitched herself. After defeating the witch, after saving everybody, she just de-witched. So the witchification is not something specific to Iroha. It's not her protagonist power. It's also not something that requires someone to defeat the witch to save you. Like Mami defeated Iroha's witch, so Iroha was saved. But rather it can just... the witch can just disappear. Now, of course, Kaede fainted just like Iroha did. But it's a fairly small price to pay for such a huge surge in power, isn't it? So now the world looks even weirder. I know even less about it. But we have a little bit of a safeguard question mark introduced in the form of, if a battle with witches goes awry, one of magical girls will probably call upon her witchy powers and save the day. Then again, we don't know the full consequences of it, which is also a thing, because the consequences can be anything. Maybe with every change they are growing closer and closer to actually becoming a witch, without even their soul gem darkening, or it can be a number of different things. But yeah, that's our status quo right now. Mahou Shoujos can turn into witches and utilize their powers for the greater good. Fight fire with fire, basically. Okay, I think that will do it for the intro. We should just start watching this episode. Oh, if you didn't know that, the next episode will be up on Patreon right now, so go there, also linked in the description, if you want to watch episode 7 right now, or within a day. I'm sometimes a little bit late with releasing it. Sometimes YouTube takes its time, so give me a day of wiggle room. But yeah, right now let's watch it. To do that, you will of course need your subs to follow along with me. I'm going to need my sound to hear what's going on in the show. I think that's better. And I'm also going to have to ask you guys for your support. Support the channel monetarily on Patreon, linked down below, where you can get early access. Or not, share my content, spread the word, costs you nothing, helps a lot. And with that out of the way, we can start watching episode 6 of Magia Record in 3, 2, 1, go. Nice music from the get-go. Okay. Is that a bell pepper? And those are like blades of a blender? Is this like a kitchen? With a bell pepper and eggs? And who the fuck are you lot? Okay, that's some moxie. Not smart, but... And... oh, I thought it's a witch, but no, it's... Felicia. Okay, sure. Go ahead. I'm not gonna stop you. An interesting choice to introduce a slew of brand new characters halfway through the season. Like, sure, those are probably gacha characters and they appear in the game, yada yada, but... I mean, I can't say yet whether it's gonna be a detriment to the story or not. It's gonna be a detriment to my memory, that's for sure. Introducing, like, 5 new characters that I have to keep track of. I'm gonna be honest, I always have trouble with, like, ensemble cast kinds of shows where there's, like, 20 different people that I need to keep track of. Who's who does what, who has beef with who. Okay, surprise me with what you're gonna do with those characters. Okay, we are back to Iroha. That's good. I was afraid that we might, like, shift perspective and this episode is gonna be about the new bunch, but no, they were just briefly introduced and they will probably make appearance further down the episode. Why are there flies here? Yeah, I don't have a fly trap anymore. I need to hang up a new one because, god damn it. I was about to smack my mic because it sat there. Okay, so we get an explanation. Literally, oh my god, they were roommates. No, nobody used a grief seed on your soul gem. Nobody did that. Sure, okay, we're gonna roll with that. Fair. Competition from other magical girls. They don't want her in their territory, potentially. Oh, that's a nice market. Maybe she is the city. I don't know, man. I'm just spitballing at this point. That's a witch world. Yep, it's you're in the witch world and you didn't even notice. Or is the witch world permeating the real world? Also, witches who talk. That's also unprecedented, isn't it? Besides, again, Mami's witch in Rebellion. Yeah, don't. Peer pressure. Don't be stupid like her. Okay, you're gonna be stupid like her. That's how they get ya. Do they not see that those are witches? Or is it how witch magic works that it makes you, like, not discern witch world from reality? I mean, yeah, she's just walking through the city. Oh, now you recognize it. Now you recognize it. Okay. At least we get a henshin out of it. Everyone's wearing capes and hoods, aren't they? I mean, probably good advice. You're not particularly strong, Iroha. Soloed. Easy. Pay up. I mean, yeah, she's right. Okay, friend acquired. Felicia, are you half Japanese? Of course. Yeah, because you drank the owl water. And you're back for some owl water, aren't you? Or not? Ominous. Why are you having tea with ketchup and mustard sitting next to you? I'm probably not gonna question it. And why is Felicia wanted? Kyoko? Or, yeah, hello. Welcome to Kamihama. What brings you here? Yeah, also sent by a Kyuubey? Or just for a hunt? Okay, just for a hunt. Fair. I mean, yeah. Why would they? Okay, are we gonna be meeting the entire cast of the main show piecemeal? I was expecting her to throw that stick at Yachiyo. Not gonna lie, and Yachiyo catch it between her fingers or something. And of course, first prize. Now, what's the prize what's the price for this amount of luck though? Because it doesn't come free. 100% it doesn't come free. Okay, rice, salad, omelette, black cubes. Okay. Okay. Fair. Killed by a witch. Yeah, that's why she has a grudge. Makes perfect sense. What's the countdown? It went from 16 to 15. But I thought it's just the table number, so it shouldn't be changing. You don't know the strongest magical girl, Tsuruno Yui? I mean, it's written on your bodies. It's really not hard to tell who's a magical girl and who isn't, if you know what to look for. So you either wear gloves 24/7 or you are easily recognizable. Okay, that's the price. And that's the countdown. I wonder where else were those numbers hidden. Because I don't think the table number was the one and only place. Now we're talking. I mean, you kinda are dealing with the witches. Probably. I mean, we still don't know whether they are witches or not. Sounds good. That's probably where the witch comes in and whisks you away. Is this the witch world? Or is it witch world permeating the real world? Yeah, that's the countdown. And the music comes in. Yeah, familiars probably. Way too hot-headed for anybody's good. And now it's all disappeared. And now they're gonna have to somehow figure out where they moved. Okay. Not a witch, not a familiar. Fair. Perhaps familiars. Uh, yeah, it's not going to be easy finding them though. Okay, horse betting shops now. Yeah, it's not a witch world. Those are witchy beings interacting with the real world. Hmm. And they seem to be like unnoticeable. Yeah, like you don't see that something's wrong, that something's amiss. You perhaps either take it for your own thoughts or you take it as something someone told me. Who? I don't know, man. Someone. I can't remember really. Whomst. Magius. Okay. They don't look like they are from the witch world. And we hear Magius. As in Magus, a mage. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there is some third party involved. I mean, it does sound enticing. Okay. Well, that's a face to make. Okay. We've got the involvement of a third party. What's your bets? I mean, your bets, you've probably seen this show before me. That Magius is Ui. Mm-hmm. Ui is the Kamihama witch. If I destroy all the witches, sister won't have to fight. Could I have possibly called it? Okay. 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 Can I squeeze in that Ui is Magius? Yeah, I can squeeze in a small Magius. Nothing after credits this time around. Well, shit. Every episode is something. Every episode is something, I swear. But let's watch this one. Let's watch this. Let's watch this one again. All right. Well, this has no translation. Whatever, it's a witch of some description, a bell pepper witch. Very nice song, very nice dance. I was afraid that we will be introducing 5 brand new characters in this single episode, but it seems like it's just Felicia, who's an addition to the cast. The other characters from here are also listed, I see. Kako Natsume, Meiyui Chun. This is Na Nakatokiwa, I believe. And this is Akira Shinobu. Maybe, probably, possibly. But yeah, we don't really introduce all of them. I really was afraid of that. I really was, because I have seen a couple of shows where they introduce like 17 characters in the span of 2 episodes, and I'm just getting lost. The limit, my personal limit of the amount of characters that are primary and that I can find myself remembering and caring about is around 5 or 6. Secondary characters are like whatever, but as far as the primary cast goes, 5 or 6, and then I'm finding it really hard to remember them and to care about them. The exemption is, of course, if they are introduced very slowly, right? To the point where, for example, in one season, 5 characters get introduced. By the end of that season, I know them all by heart. So then you can introduce another couple of characters, and I will slowly learn about them and slowly start remembering about them and slowly start caring about them as well. So by the end of the second season, I find myself remembering, knowing and caring about 10 characters, for example. Symphogear is a very good example of that. It has, by the end, it has like what, 9 main characters plus everybody at the at Song, right? Genjiro, Elf 9, etc., etc. And I had no trouble remembering them all and caring about them all because they were introduced slowly, gradually, in the span of like what, 4 or 5 seasons. So it made things easy. But right now, even with how few main characters we have, I still have trouble in Magia Record. I still have trouble remembering everybody. Like I know Iroha, Yachiyo, Ui, Tsuruno, but and of course the main cast of the main series. But everybody else, I have to look up every now and then still. So yeah, I hope they don't bloat the cast too much. I hope we stick to just Iroha, Yachiyo, and Tsuruno being like the main trio, and then episodically someone else might join us for like 2-3 episodes, but the main trio remains the same. Maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, good thing that we introduced just Just Felicia. Right, not gonna tell Iroha about what happened, and that also tells us Iroha has no memory of it. So interesting. Also interesting what happened to Kaede in the end. She passed out. With the coordinator skulking around, and we haven't heard from her again. At least for now. Maybe we will hear of her in the future, in future episodes. Maybe, probably, possibly. We'll see about that, of course. You're better off hiding the fact that you're a Mahou Shoujo. Be careful if you go any further east. So, magical girls have their own territories, and they are fairly territorial species. The real Ui wasn't there. That's a lot of writing. I wonder how much of it is actually relevant. Someone on Reddit probably translated it all, but I mean, it's probably just the names of stores and whatnot, and doesn't really have much significance for the story. But yeah, this is interesting on multiple levels. It's interesting because Iroha and Felicia weren't able to recognize that this is some witchy shenanigans going on. I understand civilians, quote unquote, regular people not being to recognize it, but you would think that a magical girl would be able to recognize when something is the work of a witch. I'm not sure if the art style is something that the characters in the world also see, like something otherworldly, or is it just for us viewers? Is it something like lore relevant and world relevant? But even if it wasn't world relevant and lore relevant, like you see people dancing with peacock feathers on their asses and caged cabbages and plushies hung up by their necks and a weird carnival of horrors, you probably assume something is amiss. Right? So, yeah, that's why it's interesting that they weren't able to recognize that something's wrong. Only later on, Yachiyo noticed that something's wrong, and Felicia also noticed that then, but didn't notice it now. Something's fucky-wacky with perception. I'm not really sure. We know that regular people don't perceive those creatures as something unusual, but magical girls probably should and probably do. I mean, Yachiyo did, after all. But yeah, another way this is interesting is that, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I remember, as far as I know, there are only 2 cases of witch world and witchy characters, witch-related characters, permeating into the real world. One example is, of course, Rebellion. During the Rebellion, as we are inside of Homura's witch world, essentially, there are witchy elements, witchy characters appear here and there and are a part of regular normal life. But we are inside of a witch world who isn't entirely witchy, but rather recreated a normal, non-witchy world. So this, the entirety of Kamihama City, might very well be a witch world that recreated a non-witchy look of a city. The second instance we see that is after Homura becomes a devil, and she sits in a tree or under a tree, and on that tree there are witchy birds. Those are the only two instances as far as I recall. So we are either, again, dealing with a deity or semi-deity of some sort who can place witchy beings in the real world, like post-Homura world, where witchy birds are just flying around, or this is a witch world. Perhaps, do I have it noted, actually? Witch world created by Ui. Yeah, Ui is the Kamihama witch. I'm actually gonna note it down in more detail, I guess. Kamihama is Ui's witch world. Yeah, Kamihama is Ui's witch world. Okay, let's continue. Those are some. This is an interesting design. It's like an optical illusion, because up top, if you don't look at the bottom, it's just a person, and if you don't look at the top, kinda sorta, it's like a rokurokubi. Interesting. I mean, designs in Madoka Magica are this way. So, of course. Yeah, like I can understand those people not noticing that it's a witch world, but magical girls, you see someone who's half embedded in a table and is wearing a kendo mask, and you see a cabbage girl and all this weird shit going on, and you really pay no heed to it, pay no attention. Someone's putting a fucking picture frame on your head and you just drink it. It's especially weird that Felicia would do it. Because Iroha, I guess I can understand it to a degree. She's inexperienced. Maybe she didn't learn to fully discern what's a witch and what isn't. Doesn't have certain whatchamacallit, doesn't have certain experience, I guess, the necessary experience or what have you. But Felicia, someone who hates witches above all, not being able to tell witch from reality, doesn't sit entirely right with me. And yeah, it's essentially a drug. You get super luck, and then you come back for more. Every day, you come back for more. Because one, you like being lucky. Two, if you stop taking it, a great calamity will befall you. It's just a drug. And yeah, it's not really easy to disguise yourself as not a magical girl if you have a symbol on your fingernail and a ring. Again, unless you wear gloves. Kosho word. And now we enter the witch world. And Felicia is really strong, just solos that witch. We acquired a brand new friend. Isado Candy Store. Oh, here's the number. 24%. You win. Where is 23? Yours won too, Iroha? Yeah. 23%. Yeah, there's a rumor. Kyoko is here, also wants to hunt because every witch just goes towards Kamihama. Yeah, someone's pulling those witches in. We know that it's probably the Magius. 22. Let's see. 23 on the raffle ticket still. And it changed to 22. Okay. I'm having fun noticing those things. 22. It's gonna change to 21. Yes, it changed to 21. There we go. I'm sorry for going through this slowly, but I'm having fun looking at those. 21, 20. Yep. They went down to 16, so let's see if we can see more of it. Now we should see 19 somewhere. Oh yeah, on the machine on the right, 20. 19. Okay. Next, bet 18. There it is. Times 17. There it is. 16. Where are you? On the number of gems. And then we see number 16 on the table, also getting down to 15. What is she eating? An omelette. Sure. Some salad with radish. Sure. White rice in bowl and white rice next to the fish, unless it's like grated horseradish maybe, and then another bit of white paste, potato salad perhaps, a lime, black cubes. Is it like, I don't know, tofu marinated in charcoal? Or maybe soy sauce marinated tofu or something along those lines. But no, soy sauce isn't that dark. And then we have a cube with some stuff on top. I think it's like wasabi, some scallions and stuff like that. A bowl of probably miso with tofu. And yeah, that's what she's having. Looking for a sister. Yeah. And she is having omurice with chicken nuggets, a big ass shrimp with udon and lettuce, and cookies on a pile of whipped cream and soy sauce. I don't know. And a pizza, of course. This is actually a very interesting idea. A game built into a restaurant table. It's about the only thing I can do. 16. $15. You are lucky that Yachiyo took notice, essentially. Be careful of her. Right, there's a wanted poster because of her, after her. I wonder why. Because sure, she is reckless and she can put her teammates in danger, but why is she specifically wanted? I'm not sure. Yeah, there's a rumor, magical oil water or what have you. There's a number of magical girls who have disappeared after drinking that water. So we know that after 24 good things happen to you, you then meet a string of misfortunes. But there is nothing about being whisked away by a witch. So perhaps the last misfortune is being taken by the witch. Maybe. Yeah. Just having a meal is all that is needed. Like, god damn it, those designs. What's that on her shirt? Twice cooked pork. Thumbs up. Amazing shirt. Twice cooked pork. Actually, out of curiosity, do they sell that design? They would be stupid not to. Probably on Etsy or on AliExpress or something. There's a lot of recipes for twice cooked pork. And if I add Magia Record, no, there aren't really any. There isn't really anything about that. Just what's that flashing on my screen? Is it my camera doing something weird or what's going on? Yeah, there's just comments on Reddit how people love Tsuruno's twice fried pork shirt. Yeah, is it only on my screen or does it flash bright white for you as well? I'm gonna have to look at the recording and see if it's actually the case. Or is it just local to me? Man, it's not a brand new camera anymore, but it's under a year. I haven't had it for that long. It can be breaking now. It wasn't cheap either. And of course, Felicia runs in head first without thinking. She wasn't a witch. Yeah. But not a familiar either. Not a witch, but not a familiar. Ah, fuck. We are not only dealing with a whole third party here, the Magius, we are also dealing with a brand new type of an enemy. About as powerful as a witch, but doesn't leave a seed. And can reside in the real world. Assuming this is the real world, of course. But wait, if it was a witch world, can you get into a witch world from within a witch world? Like a witch world squared? I know, man. It's a mindfuck. It's a mindfuck. And yeah, regular people are not able to tell. But magical girls are able to tell that those aren't real people and that those are familiars but not familiars. I'm just gonna call them familiars. We don't have any better name for them. So familiars it is. It's likely even we overlooked its presence until today. Okay, so it's probably hidden until you know it's there, basically. So I guess that would explain why Iroha and Felicia didn't see anything amiss. But now that they know something's fucky wacky, they were able to recognize it. Something along those lines. Those are new. Moth. Those are moth eyes and moth antennae. And a moth pendant kind of looking thing on them. You are an obstruction to the guidance of Magius. What's interesting about the name Magius to me is that Magius sounds masculine. Maybe it's just my like background, quote unquote, in Polish that discerns masculine and feminine and what would neither translate as, I don't know, genderless, whatever, forms of words, right? Like, for example, what would be an example of that? Coffee is feminine in Polish, and a mug is masculine. So Magius really sounds masculine to me. But we haven't really had any males in this show besides Madoka's father and who, what was his name? Sayaka's crush, that guy who ended up with Hitomi. We didn't really have any males, did we? So it would be interesting if the main antagonist of this show was a man or masculine creature. I'm just gonna say, because those people, they aren't people. People aren't black and white this way. People don't look like this. But at the same time, they don't have the aesthetic of the witch world, so they aren't witches or familiars either. Also worth noting, they aren't identical, they have different hairstyles. So they probably are humans who were either turned into something or they are humans, legit, except stylized somehow. Maybe those are magical girls who are missing because of the owl water. They joined the Magius, they were brainwashed into joining his side. Let's note it down. Moth girls were Megukas who got brain washed into joining Magius, and in parenthesis, owl water. Also, owl, moth, both are nocturnal, both can fly. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit too far with it, but whatever. The eradication of all witches. On one hand, very enticing offer, isn't it? For every magical girl, right? After all, the purpose of magical girls' existence is to kill witches, isn't it? So the eradication of all witches would be the ultimate realization of a magical girl's fate, right? Problem is, I don't think the law of the cycle is in place yet, if at all, if it's not a whole another reality. And we know that negative emotions also have an impact on the soul gem. So, even if all the witches are eradicated, even if magical girls don't have to fight them anymore, their soul gems can still get tainted by just negative emotions. Iroha meets a boy she really likes, he rejects her, and her soul gem gets darkened. Iroha's parents die of old age, and her soul gem gets darkened. And eventually, she turns into a witch. And the same is true for every other magical girl. And without witches existing, there is no grief seeds to clear those soul gems. So eventually witches will be back. So the only way to eradicate witches is to also eradicate magical girls at the same time, since magical girls create witches, and witches get eradicated by magical girls. To break the cycle, you need to get rid of all parts of that cycle. So again, enticing offer, but probably short-sighted, and this is a face to make. This is certainly a face to make. Right, like her hair are a little bit scruffy, but not all that much. And here it's just like going in every which direction. Oh, damn. God damn. Now, of course, if there would be anybody who would be willing to join the Magius, it would be Felicia, because of her grudge against the witches. I'll do anything. Makes perfect sense, the title. Oh boy. Oh boy, what an episode. I thought that the previous episode already did a lot, in that it pretty much firmly established that the rules in Kamihama aren't the same as the rules of the rest of the world, especially when it comes to magical girls and witches and whatnot. And it showed us that magical girls can get witchified and then turned back, right? It did a lot. It did a lot of mindfuckery. And now we have this episode who tells us not only that witches aren't witches, but something else entirely, and that there is a third party that also operates in Kamihama. Someone between witches and magical girls, someone unaffiliated with magical girls, but also someone who stands against the witches. Someone possibly hostile to both. Because if the Magius wants to eradicate witches, they will also have to eradicate magical girls. Because that's how witches are made. Perhaps that's the purpose of the rumor about Kamihama, to not only draw in the witches, to perhaps eradicate them in a single blast, in a single fell swoop, nuke the city and destroy all witches, but also get rid of magical girls at the same time. Because if all of the witches are in Kamihama, all of the magical girls are also in Kamihama. And you can get rid of them all in one fell swoop. Who would be planning that? Who would be the Magius, though? My initial impression was, of course, that it's Ui. It has to be Ui. She somehow learned that her sister is a magical girl and what that entails, and she made a wish to eradicate witches to free her sister. And this current situation in Kamihama is somehow a conclusion of that wish. But I'm not sure anymore. Just in case, I'm gonna note down Ui is with the Magius. Yeah, Ui is with the Magius. And separately, Ui is Magius. Yep. Another episode of a mindfuck. What else can I say? I don't think there's anything more to say about this episode, honestly. Ultimately, it was fairly simple. We get the owl water. Owl water turns out to be another rumor. We need to go after it. Felicia ruins everything, and then we meet the envoys of Magius, and we talk with them, and they want to eradicate witches, etc., etc., etc. This is a setup for the next arc, essentially. That's how I see this episode. The Magius arc. Perhaps we will have to fight with Felicia, or we will have to somehow convince Felicia to join us, or we will join forces with the Magius. I mean, shit. It's plausible enough for me to consider. I don't know. I'm not sure. Also, very interesting that we are even introducing a third party, right? Like, you would think that the story of magical girls fighting against the witches is enough, right? It's enough because you can do a lot with it. You can have a super special, super strong witch, for example, Ui, right? Create Kamihama, or take over Kamihama, or what have you, and that could be the plot. It's easy, it's simple, you don't need more, but we have that inclusion of a third party. We have the Magius included. What if it's the Magius who disappeared Ui? Somehow, for some reason. I don't know what reason would it be, and I don't know what kind of a power the Magius would have to just erase someone. But it's a possibility, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. My mind is going places. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I don't think I have much more to say about this episode, honestly. I think I said my piece, said everything I needed to say. Now all that's left is thinking, is whatchamacallit? Whatchamacallit? Not just stating. Fuck, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. Thinking about it heavily. Yeah, and trying to like internalize what the fuck just happened. Maybe by the time next episode comes, I'm gonna have a better idea. I don't know. We'll see about that. But right now, I think that's gonna be it. But maybe you guys have something more to add. If so, say so in the comments down below. What did you think of this episode, of my reaction, my theories, stuff like that? And next episode is already up on Patreon, or will soon be, so you might wanna check that out. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, but tell me why so I can improve. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future releases of not only Magia Record, but also Helk, Zom 100, Undead Girl, Murder, Farce, Nanatsu no Makengashi Haisuru, Ancient Magus Bride, and others coming at you in the future, and there is a lot of shows. I'm not sure how many of them I will actually watch, but I have like 10 shows planned. We'll see where that goes, of course. Support the channel. If you, I also stream sometimes, so you might want to check out the bell icon to be notified when I go live. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon, link down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows like Magia Record, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. And if you otherwise want just a role on the Discord, you can also support me on YouTube itself via memberships, super thanks, etc., etc. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now, with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do the good stuff. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's the list of my wonderful patrons: Kyuubey without a net, The Crippled Survivor, Zetran, Zay, Rainer, Akamancer, Marsh, Vassal, Dr. Wotuki, Lion, Hans Peter, and you can join them without drinking the owl water.